Hey guys, uh, hope everybody is doing well. It is kind of a crappy day out. Yeah, it's raining out here in Freiburg. But I wanted to do a live. I was scrolling through my phone on YouTube and I found this YouTube short where during the Q&A, so when Charlie did that Q&A at the college campuses, I can't remember where. Actually, I can look at it right now to see where. But it's really awesome how this one video, a college student steps up to the microphone and asks Charlie, now I'm not clinically diagnosed, I do have autism. It's not much of a disability, but I do need help. I don't want to be hindered by it. What is your advice for that for college students? And Charlie Kirk's response to this guy was, I love your attitude, and you should be applauded by that because I think that's really important that you do not allow a diagnosis to become a label that then dominates your life. Don't ever look at what they call as autism as only a negative. It can also be a superpower. I know a lot of people with high functioning autism that are able to focus on a task for 9 hours and get it done in a way that I would not. In fact, I know people with high functioning autism that are some of the most successful. Some of the best team members we have at Turning Point USA that were told their whole life this is going to be a disability. This will put you this will put you aside, and they're the ones that are the most creative. And so I think you should look at autism as you describe it, as an unrealized superpower, not as a disability. But I will say, this really considers what many people think of a disability today and what people believe a disability is now or back then. I will state, I mean, I have autism, but autism is not, it is not for me as far as working towards things that I want to achieve. I have learned over the years or over weeks and months that that autism is not as Charlie describes it. It's not a negative. It is a superpower, and it's really, I mean, like he mentioned, there's people that work for him that work 9 hours straight that have autism, but those that have autism are creative and they will work nonstop 9 hours, and they're really intelligent around certain things, whether it's their job, it's their passions, it's what they're set out to do. But a lot of people think that they're not going to make it because of their disability. Well, disabilities aren't curses. They're not even, they're labeled as a disability. They're phrased as a disability where many people will deceive and label autism as a disability. But Eric, I will say, Eric from Listen Up is very good because the thing is, when he, when, the bio on the Facebook and the SoundCloud, he says that Listen Up is a nonprofit organizations for young adults, but he doesn't use disabilities. He does use that word, but he says intellectual. That is one of the words that coexists with disability, but intellectual abilities, basically, he's using the word intellectual abilities, meaning Eric is putting unrealized superpowers in the words to describe Listen Up. And I observe that when, I think a lot of us look at the bio or really look at the Listen Up Facebook page, or as I said, any of the other social media, um, or like the bio on SoundCloud. I would say it's on Facebook, on their page on Facebook, but again, Eric uses intellectual disabilities, but that word he's using, that definition, meaning it's un, unrealized superpowers. Because many of us express music differently. We have different superpowers when it comes to music. There's those who are better listeners than others. There's those who like to physically play more than others. But it doesn't make us any. It does not prevent us from not making music and excelling at, if music is a passion of ours, if it is something we want to continue with. But Charlie's words, to this young man were unbelievable. And even, him giving that man props about speaking about, because, and I had to look up the word hindered, but hindered is a word that is you. I've never honestly have heard it with somebody talking or asking a question related to autism, but it is a word that does make sense. Those who do have a disability, people will have the will act, they will have certain pattern and behavior where where basically meaning that, as I said, they could have behaviors along with the powers that people are trying to figure out every day. They're trying, I feel like people figure me out every single day, like observe me every single day. But is it a bad thing? No. How are we to know how somebody feels, or how, unless they tell us, unless they communicate with us? But the person in my life that I really love their attitude is my significant other. but I love her attitude so much towards me. But a lot of things, I mean, most things in life function differently. That includes a family, I would say communities function differently, and that would include whoever is in your circle, whoever is in your community. They all function and are, I would say, wired and engineered differently. It feels really great to spend time with your family, or if you're having a girl trip with just females involved, guys have them too. Guys have boy trips. But honestly, I will say hindered is a word that I just learned the definition of. I mean, I've heard of the TV. The only time I've heard of the word hindered is hindered spirits, but it makes sense. Hindered is a term using that, or the definition of hindered, because if you connect the word hindered with with it kind of is a word for hidden. Like people may not, they may want to hide their actions, their behaviors. They might not come out right away and express, you know, that they need help, or they feel like their feelings were let down. Their emotions were let down. Because everybody in America has a voice, and if you don't think you don't have a voice, that is bullshit. Because everybody does. But hindered, so those of you that want to know what hindered means, I think most of you know what it means, but it's a great word to describe. Yeah, so it's the past tense and past part, what is it? Participle of the verb hinder, means to be delayed, held back, or obstructed in progress or movement. It describes a state where someone or something has been hampered or prevented from acting, growing, or moving forward. But in college, it is a big stepping stone of moving forward with your life, studying as much as you can. But it also, being hindered can also prevent somebody from acting and growing. Unfortunately, And that's a big thing. That is a big thing from women and males, since we were different. And I will go into this, but males and females, opposite sex, but males and females both have our own hormones. Females go through a rough time of the month, whereas men, teenagers, go through puberty, and they have hormones where men are men and women could be both attracted to each other, but that's how organic and natural things like that can end up, is if you proceed with things naturally instead of. But again, you never ever think a diagnose. People often think it's a label. Somebody says you're autistic, you're this, you're that. They are labeling you that. What many people around the world do not realize, whether it's an officer calling a person who is having actions or having behaviors throughout their actions, they're labeling that person as I said, mental health, as mental. It's the same thing if they label you as autistic, being autistic. Again, labeling is what a lot of people go to when they are feeling like they need to act out, or when not so much they need to act out. Nobody is saying you can't express emotion, you can't express your attitude towards someone. But again, this, I will say, including myself, I often back then labeled my autism as a disability, that I wasn't able to go to my regular classes and be a normal person. Most times I did go to school, I didn't want to go to school. I didn't feel like I belonged where I went to middle school. But the thing is, again, when a teacher in your life holds you back from continuing, being delayed, meaning that when you stay back a grade, it's an automatic action and movement that person takes, doesn't communicate saying that, oh, Tom's ready to move on. You stay back a grade. But you know why that is in real life? It's because people don't look at autism or a disability as a superpower. A lot of people, which it's never okay to label yourself or for somebody to label you. But when you are labeled, people are going to label hindered as stating that Tom can't move on to the next grade. Schools are well known to discipline and really throw people with disabilities under the bus. But teachers don't know how special we are. They lack of power, but the power a lot of them seek is getting paid. But there is teachers out there that have pure hearts of gold that want everyone to succeed in the school. And that doesn't matter if you have a disability. I will say those who don't have disabilities really inspire, or those who do have disabilities inspire those who wish they had superpowers. Because again, we think of, like, since I'm a huge superhero nerd, right? Is there fictional characters I have looked up to? Absolutely, there has been. Has there been non fictional heroes I've looked up to? Yeah. But one of those many heroes that I have in my life that are non-fiction carry the same amount of power. I can't say that they have more power over the other, because that would be me stating that one of them possess. I don't think it's fair to even state that. But again, that's my significant other and my mom. And many of those who have the skill, or really have always had the skill and motivation that, but as I said, people are going to view you. I mean, and I was not the only one that stayed back. But sometimes, you realize later on in life that disabilities are superpowers. And once somebody drains you, or I will say, don't let somebody drain your superpower. Your superpowers are never meant to be given out, and they're never meant to be sucked out of your system, because nobody can do that. When you have little money, you survive. But I will say, growing up, because growth is a big part of what we call, of what is part of hindered, is those who who are in the way of growth, of people growing spiritually, physically, mentally. Those who get in the way of that are labeling that we can't do that. But quite frankly, I love Kathleen's attitude towards me. I love it. And I need more of it. I don't need her to always be there for me, but I love her attitude. Whether I get a negative or positive response from her, I love her attitude. Even if she states to me that I'm not listening to her. She might say when I'm not listening to her that I don't care about her. I love her attitude. When she says that, I love her attitude. And she's stating but a lie. She's stating the truth. But I thought that YouTube short was incredibly awesome. Um, but I want to read it again for those of you, because I do tend to read fast sometimes. But this is what the college student had asked Charlie. He said, "Now I'm not clinically diagnosed. I do have autism. It's not much of a disability, but I do need help." So, meaning that he's not categorizing his autism as being a negative thing in his life, but he is on. When you're truthful to somebody, I do have autism. It's not much of a disability, so he knows that it's a superpower automatically. And but he states that there is many things I do need help with, of maybe how to construct maybe what I'm doing better. But that's the thing, is when people state that they actually need help. Because for me, I know the difference between when somebody asks for help and when somebody doesn't need help. And that's two things for me, is that when somebody states that they need money and they're not giving you an explanation why, their desire is money. They want money to do anything but acknowledge, to get to know you. And that's how many people over social media get scammed and hacked. Is that many of the questions, many of these, people state, if they hack your account and they happen to reach out to somebody that is friends with you, they will ask if you have $1 or you've got money in your account. So they're not needing it. That's their desire. That's They don't at all focus or consider of what they could be draining from somebody. They don't have a filter like somebody who is being a victim of being scammed and hacked, where they know it. I mean, they know if they're a victim, they're gonna freaking report, block that person, and might even shut down social media, which many people do. Quit it entirely. But now, I'm not clinically diagnosed. I do have autism. It's not much of a disability, but I do need help. Again, needing help is accurate and it's valid. I don't want to be hindered by it, meaning that he doesn't. So, as I said, going back to what hindered means, he doesn't want to be delayed, held back, or obstructed in progress or movement by by his diagnosis. But also it describes a state really where something has been hampered or prevented. So that's the thing, is he could also be stating, I don't want to be hindered to relating from acting, growing, or moving forward. I struggled with all three of those things for myself. I struggled with acting of wanting to. I will say the acting was really bad, and it's still bad. I act out of really wanting me or my mother supported and in the help that she might need down the road. But, I'm not asking for somebody to shoot me in the head or to commit a crime for me. And then, because those who would go out and do, they would come to me and said, you made me do it. Again, I would not have somebody go out of their way and do something disgusting for me. I'm not that kind of person. However, I often definitely need help with things that I might not completely understand, where somebody says, I could have told you that. And it's not forgiveness. It's just part of my superpower of what, because superpowers, if you think about it, right? You think of somebody fictional like Spider-Man. So Spider-Man, he is strong, but would you say he is strong as the Hulk? Many people on here would say no. Spider-Man is strong, but he's known for crawling up buildings, shooting his web swinging. Hulk is a monster. He can leap off buildings, throw vehicles. He rages, he's angry, smashes anything he can. So, so what is a disability? It's a unrealized superpower. It's a superhuman. It's superhuman development. Is how I would categorize, or how I would really talk about that. It's a superhuman gift. And I will say those who don't have autism but do have another superpower. Down syndrome, um a disease, an autoimmune disease, people that have cancer, they're all superpowers. Those who have cancer ring the bell of victory. But many of those who state to you that you're not growing, that you are not acting the way I want you to act. Many of us want to respond back to those people and state, well, if I have to act identical to how you act, it's gonna be a huge lineup. Meaning that, for example, if I were to act exactly the same as my significant other, I feel like more than she gets irritated with me now. And this is where listening at times doesn't even come in. I do the things she always wants to do, picking up her passions. I would feel as much as like I kind of want to do what I want to do. I want to be independent, but I just don't want to do what you choose to do. I would rather get taught the things that she might want to introduce me to. That is that I will say I would pick up things by experience and observing than to, I guess a better explanation is, do the things every day my partner wants to, like literally being my partner. It's I'll follow the steps in order to respect and listen to my partner better, but I will be not exactly my partner. I'm not a girl, no offense, but the thing is, many things is that I honestly I hate to break this to many people. I think she's one of the many teachers I have in my life. And I will say, from my mom down the line to many of the great teachers that taught me what autism was, rather than having it worded and labeled to you as, this is what's wrong with Tom, you need to fix him, or you need to have him become normal. There's not a cure. And if there's no cure, that's just who we are. But I personally love her attitude. I love anybody who gives me feedback and gives me things that I need to work on for years, months. That is a loving attitude of knowing of what they got to know you for. But and I am a man that will stand my ground for anybody, also for myself. But my very first priority is to make sure I appreciate everyone, how they've treated me, their attitudes towards me. I appreciate it every single day, and I'm grateful these people have not left. Could I state right now that people have blocked the some pathways for me to become successful? Absolutely, but it's not on me. I'm very patient enough. I mean, as I said, my tolerance runs short with people. Those who want to block my path for success, and I know there's an available shortcut I can take to move away from that obstacle, I'll do that. But you don't stop and not react. But if anything is refusing to move on your, if something is invading your path, say it's a big boulder on your path, your journey up to the mountain, right? And the only way that that boulder's gonna move is either if you have a rock kit or going over the grass, and if you can, or if that boulder's rolling down towards you like an Indiana Jones, your movements have to be pretty damn quick. But I state that those people that say life is short, life is how you want to live it. Life is knowing life is knowing what you want to do, where your starting point of your journey, recognizing the challenges or the obstacles that could be bound from you continuing up the path. But when there's a problem, there's a solution. And that's many things in life. When there's a problem with something you don't like, there's a solution of avoiding it, from not letting it happen, or talking to those who you might have a problem with. But I like how that guy that calls you says he uses the word clinically. Now, I'm guessing from what he's referring to as being clinically diagnosed, meaning that a doctor didn't diagnose him with autism. But again, that could be a word we can look up and learn the meaning of. So, clinically means it relates to the direct was it observation, treatment, and examination of actual patients in a medical setting, rather than theatr- theoretical or laboratory study. It also describes actions or attitudes that are highly objective, unemotional, or analytical. But medical practice, it has to do. So, medical practice refers to things proven, diagnosed, or tested on real patients. This treatment is clinically effective. So, this man was stating this that he was not clinically diagnosed. So, again, Again, it had nothing to do with treatments. Like he mustn't, I mean, treatments and examination of actual patients. And so being in a medical setting, being in a doctor's office or a hospital, rather than theoretical or laboratory study. So I'm guessing because laboratory studies can state or show describes a cold. But again, it also can refer to a detached demeanor. Describes a cold, purely factual or dispassionate approach. So that could be another dispassionate approach, similar to an impersonal medical report. That so detached demeanor. So I'm wondering if that's what he meant by clinically since he stated he wasn't clinically diagnosed. He had like a detached demeanor, and it says it describes a cold, purely factual or dispassionate approach, similar to an impersonal medical report. So he could have filled out a report, but it had more of like a cold, a less kind of like more of like a dispassionate approach of autism. And that's the thing. I feel like that's where Charlie speaks about autism is not something you should think of as being negative. Is it something you should look into, maybe research? If you, I mean, you know your own body better than doctors, but it is relevant if you are sick is to see a doctor. But anyways, I am gonna end my live, y'all. So I am but thank you all for watching. We'll be playing Hunter Call of the Wild in a little bit. I'm gonna get something to eat. Um and there's also a game out that actually also obviously that it's the game company that also that made Hunter Call of the Wild, but they have another game out called Call of the Wild Angler, but it's same game company, but they made a fishing game as well, but it's called Call of the Wild Angler. They have it for PC and released it on consoles, but for the base game, and so you can get it for $12. They have bundles for the game. But it looks really cool. It is a fast-paced fishing game. You can collect a whole variety of fish, catch different kinds of fish. They've got a couple DLCs. They've got one for South Africa, Japan, Norway, and there's at least one more. But I know the two, the South Africa and the Japan one. But a lot of the fish are like really unique. But just like Hunter Call the Wild, you can get gold rating, trophy fish, great one fish. So it's kind of a similar structure. I've heard the multiplayer is really fun, but what's really cool is that in Hunter Call of the Wild, if you're on a multiplayer server with somebody like one of your friends, unfortunately when you shoot an animal, and you don't get to the animal quickly, that person can steal your animal, meaning they can claim that. So you kind of have to be careful and make sure. I've never played multiplayer on Hunter Call of the Wild. Honestly, I enjoy playing it single player. Like, I don't have to worry about somebody coming up and claiming my trophy that I shot. Would I be upset? Probably. I would be calm about it, but I actually would be upset. I would be like, dude, but I wouldn't rage at the TV, but I would be fairly upset. If it was a really good trophy and it was an animal I needed for my lodge, then yeah. But if it was an animal that I already had, I wouldn't get so upset. But again, in Hunter Call of the or Call of the Wild Angler, when you do play because they also offer multiplayer on that as well. But you could be fishing in a boat with one of your friend catches something, but when you're in the boat and you're like on one side, different fish will spawn compared to the person you're playing with. And that's the thing. They definitely got rid of that thing. They didn't get rid of it in Hunter Call of the Wild, but in Angler you they don't have that where your partner or who you're playing with can steal your fish or your trophy fish. So that is a good thing. I kind of hate that though. Like, it's like when people are competitive though, and they see like something you shot and they want to. I would not tolerate that. I hate to say it, but I personally would if you could, which I know you can't, but probably I would I don't know. I would either shoot that person in the. I hate to say I wouldn't obviously do it being hateful, but if somebody were to screw with me and as I said, if it was something I already had, I wouldn't make a big deal of it. If it's an animal I already had in my lodge, I'd be like, I know I can get another one. I would just have to redo the grind and whatever came along with that. Honestly, I could even get. I mean, also too, like I could get a better trophy than the person who stole from me, who claimed the trophy that I shot. So again, it's not really a competition. You could walk out with something much more better than the person who stole from you. So sometimes that's how games have to be played, is if somebody that you're playing multiplayer with gets the better loot. I would say you could get 100 times better loot, and they'd realize that their loot shit. Maybe not, but they also have mechanics in games where you can upgrade and enhance weapons too. So, but yeah, I'm gonna let you guys go. But I'm gonna play Hunter Call of the Wild in a little bit. Oh, and by the way, I did order Sting of the. I know I mentioned this, but Sting of the Wild is coming Tuesday. But this is another thing: is I am going to, if it takes me 9 hours to read, I'm gonna do it in one video. So if I can get it done, so 9 hours, that is. So I'm gonna, as I said, I'll have to break. I'll probably, if I'm gonna do it in one day, I would have to break. I wouldn't be able to, I would be able to break, but I will say I will have to do everything I have to do Tuesday, and then 3 hour, 3 hour, 3 hour. Okay, so yeah, I would. So for each hour, so I think 3 chapters, because there's 11 chapters in this book. So actually, 3, 6, 9. I think I can. I definitely can do this because you go by threes. 3, 6, 9. I got this. So yeah, if we read, so let's see. I gotta do the math here on this. So I'm gonna have to map this out right now for myself because tomorrow is Memorial Day, Monday, and then but if we include the book's, introduction, because there is a because every book, as I said, I'm actually gonna look up. All right, so Sting of the Wild. How many chapters? So, whoops. Oops, Sting of the Wild. How many chapters? Or how 11 chapters. Yep. So yeah, if actually, so that actually might. Actually, you know what? I am going to flip a new page. So it's divided into two main parts. Part 1, part 2. Okay, so I actually could break in between the two parts. Because part 1 is the foundations. So that's chapter 1. So we'll say part 1. Two. So many lines. Boom. All right, cool. So that's part one, but it breaks up into two parts because they. I'm actually really excited to start this. But it says after the chapters, the book also famously includes an appendix outlining the complete Schmidt sting pain index. Oh yeah, but and those of you that want to know, I will be setting a actually maybe to record this in real time. I will set my stopwatch on my phone of how long it takes me to read because I plan to get part one done Tuesday morning or whenever, obviously whenever I get the book. So may not be in the morning, But whenever I get the book, I come on here, set the timer for however long it'll take me, and then I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna reach 5, take a breather, and then go right into part 2. So we're gonna read it one day, and I'm doing this because I know Kathleen and I are planning to talk about it this month. Um and we don't have a lot left of May at all. So yeah, it's already May 24th. So